All right, boys, let's keep going with that project, resurfacing the sidewalk. So the last video, we pour the concrete, and I didn't speak about the finishing of concrete. You need to use an edger to put the edge of that concrete round, and every 4 or 5 feet, you use another tool to put a line in the sidewall. That the theory behind it is, if the sidewalk move, the crack is going to go to that line that you create. So let's take a look for the edger. What are we using for tools? So for tool for the edger, this is what we use over here. You could see over here, we're going to put that all on the side of the sidewalk. That little round thing here, we're going to create a round on the sidewalk. And to create that line in the middle of the sidewalk, this is a tool that I use over here. So you create that line. Look what that thing looks like. To look like there's a little thing in the middle. That thing create the line. And those tools, of course, I do that once in a while. Might never do that the rest of my life. Look, $14 for that tool. Very cheap. $14 Canadian. And this one, $13. $13 Canadian. So this is what I use for tool to do my finishing. And also you got to see me with a broom to have a broom finish. To have a broom finish, you could use whatever the broom that you have, and you just put your broom in there. You're going to see on the video when I'm working, what I'm doing. And also for the finishing, boys, super freaking important. My last video, I talk about this. If you start to do your finish too early, you're going to create the lamination. Go see that video right here. Very, very important. I talk about the lamination. Go see that video that you understand what the lamination is. If you finish too early, you not create the lamination, and your job's going to look like shit. Go see that video. All right, boys, so let's go back to work and get that finishing done. Okay, what I'm doing here, I'm doing the finishing. That's what we call it. And I'm doing the edge. I'm going to show a picture of which tool that I use just to do the edge. So basically, you go back and forward, just put a round around the corner. And I'm going to show you the tool that I use for that. And around every 4 or 5 feet, you have to put a line between the concrete, that if the concrete move, all the cracks gonna go through that line. And that's gonna be the next step that I'm gonna do. You'll see it. I'm gonna get it on right now. I'm gonna take a 2x4. I'm gonna put it. You see it right there. Take a 2x4. And you need another tool for that, another special tool. They're cheap, around $10. And here we go. I'm going to show you a picture of the tool that I use. And I'm going to create a line about 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch between the concrete. And if the concrete moves, the crack is going to go through that line. That's the theory behind this. This is the theory behind this. So here we go. You're going to see we're going to remove my 2x4 here. The line is going to be there. So you do that when the concrete is about, I don't know, 2-3 hours. You pour it, 4 or 5 hours. That depends. That depends on how dry it is. So you see that line over here. You call that finishing the concrete. And again, I repeat it. If you finish too early, you're going to create delamination in your freaking concrete. That means you're going to create a thin layer of hair under the concrete, and the whole thing's going to crack. It's not going to be solid. The first 1/32 inch on that concrete. If you finish too early. And that's what I did, unfortunately. I finished too early. I didn't know. But it is what it is. Make a mistake, you learn, and it is what it is. So this is what I'm doing right now, boys. I'm finishing the edge. Every 4 or 5 feet, I create that line. And the theory of that line, I just said to you, is to that thing move, the crack is gonna go in that line. And this is what I'm doing here. When it's dry enough, you create a broom tip, a finished broom. And when you're gonna walk on it, you're not gonna slip. You're gonna have a little roughness about it. And again, when you do that finish, you need to wait that the concrete is dry, not completely dry, kind of hard enough. And if you finish too early, you're gonna create that elimination again. So that's it. Little video here when I was doing my finishing. I was finishing that concrete. You need to do that when it's not quite dry, but when the concrete is kind of hard. You do the finish when it's kind of hard. You don't do that when it's freaking wet. And that's a mistake that I made. Okay, so this is the part of my video about the finishing. I'm gonna leave it at that, and that's it. Okay, boys, now we're gonna talk about curing. And the whole idea of curing is for the next month, you still have a chemical process that's going on inside of the concrete, despite that the concrete is dry. For the next month, you still have a chemical process that concrete is gonna get harder and harder and harder and harder over time. And this is the curing process. And that thing lasts minimum a month. So what is curing? So let's take a look at it. And the curing is for the next at least 7 days, you keep that moisture moist. You need to take a water hose and you water that freaking concrete to keep it moist. That helps for the curing process. That helps that concrete is going to be harder. If you don't put water on it, you don't keep it moist, the curing is not going to be successful. So you need to keep that freaking concrete moist. So look, most curing is a common method of concrete curing. It involves wetting the concrete slab often with water 5 to 7 times per day. So I'm assuming you wake up, you're up at least 60 hours a day. So on that 60 hour, wet that freaking thing between 5 and 7 times. And they said 5 to 7 times per day for the first 7 days. So the first 7 days are critical that you keep that freaking concrete wet. So let's take a look why. The reason is for the first 7 days, the first 7 days of concrete being placed and finished, the concrete will reach 70% of its potential strength. So right here for the first 7 days, it's going to reach 70% of its potential strength. So you need minimum 7 days, you keep that freaking thing wet, and you wet that thing between 5 to 7 times per day. At least for the first 7 days. And look what they said after that for when it reached day 28. So after that 7 days, the next 21 days, the concrete will reach 90% of its overall compression strength. So again, you could keep going after that 7 days. For the next 21 days, that thing's gonna go from 70% to 90%. But the first 7 days are fucking crucial. You need to keep that thing wet. And look what the curing do. Retaining moisture in the slab so the concrete continue to gain strength. Delay drying shrink that when you keep that thing moist, you delay the drying shrinkage until the concrete is strong enough to resist the shrinking crackage. Keeping that concrete moist, properly curing concrete improve the strength, durability, water thickness, and wear resistance. So that curing, boy, is important. You need to keep that freaking thing wet. So I'm gonna go to the video here. I'm gonna show you I remove the form, and before I remove the form, I wait at least 48 hours. So let's go back to work and take a look at the video and I remove the form. Let's go back to work. Okay, that video, there's not too much comment. I mean, all I do, you'll see over here, I'm gonna take that drill and remove that screw on every picket to be able to remove that 2x4. So there's no much comment, boys. I remove the screw on every picket and that's it. So most of the pickets have been removed, and look, those 2x4, they're easy to remove. They didn't stick on the concrete, they didn't stick on anything. It was very, very easy to remove. Yeah, this one was a little bit, it wants to stick a little, so I have to take a hammer and slightly hit it and go crazy. And you could see over here what I'm telling you, that one side I put 3/4 of an inch and the other side I put almost 2 inch. Just told you that the old sidewalk wasn't level at all. So by pouring the new one, I leveled the whole thing. You could see it very, very clearly there. And I got delamination It is what it is. My next video, we're gonna get rid of those delamination. Show you guys what I did. And this is my edge. I put the edge all over the place, and you could see it's round. It's round, and that's the main goal to those edge. It's round. And you see the line in the middle here. That's supposed to help for the crack if something moves. You'll see on the other side. Here, that's what it looked like. I'm happy with the result. Not happy with the delamination. I got some delamination at some place. It's not bad. It's not bad. Second time in my life I'm do that. Second time. It's not bad. And we're gonna do the rest later on. And we'll just talk about curing. You can see my water hose ready to go. So here we go, the curing process, boy. You take that thing wet. Everything you pour, you keep it wet. So repeat again for the next 7 days. That thing is very, very important. Just gotta think about it. Think about all the work that you put in there, and you forgot that little thing here. You don't keep it wet. And the quality of your work go down the drain despite all the freaking crazy work that you put. So look, boys, it's freaking important. That part here is super important. Alright, that's it. The foam been removed. Now the curing thing for the next 7 days. I'm just gonna drown the crap of that thing. Despite that, someday I didn't do it because I was working 12 hours a day. So I was doing it in the morning. At night, I was doing maybe twice. But at night, in the evening, I was doing twice. My curing wasn't perfect. So that's it for that part. The next part, I'm going to show you what I did with that delamination. It's going to be on the next video. And that thing really pissed me off. All the work that you put and the delamination because of a little lack of knowledge on my part. And also, I poured that cement for 11 hours. It was too much. You pour, and after that, for the finishing, you almost need to wait like 4 or 5 hours. To be sure that all that thing settled down. But it is what it is. It's not that bad. Alright, boys, look, I leave it at that. If you like that content, like, share, subscribe, boys. And we see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, boys. Bye bye.